I think we might be on. I can't see it on my computer, but I think we're on. So I'll say good evening, everybody. This is Veronique Fischer from Noble Sky. I am their lead trainers. And it is my great pleasure and honor today to bring in my friend Patrick Simm. And Patrick is based in Florida. So while it is evening for us, it's actually morning for you, isn't it, Patrick?
Good morning from South Florida. It is. It's actually 9:45.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I heard there's a typhoon or a hurricane your way. Is it north of you or?
Yeah, it passed and it was over the weekend, but it didn't affect Florida much, so that was great.
Okay, all right, okay, wonderful. So I wanted to explain why I invited Patrick to come and speak with us, which is that Patrick is actually the 2020 Broward-MIAMI Board of Realtor President-elect. And he has a lot of knowledge, of course, about what is going on in the property market in Florida. And some of you already know that we're quite fond of the Floridian market. So I figured it would be a good idea to pick Patrick's brain about what is really going on. So Patrick, tell me, what have you noticed?
Well, prior to this pandemic, as going into this pandemic, I just heard a lot of, the word around was that everything was going to fall. Real estate was going to bottom out and prices were going to fall. I still have buyers that are waiting for it to fall. But while they're waiting, prices are actually rising here. It's actually the law of supply and demand. We don't have enough single family homes here to sell. So what I'm seeing right now in the last month is the total opposite of what everybody predicted. So we're having homes sold over asking price, and over in America, we have when you purchase a home with a loan, there's something called an appraisal. So when the appraisal falls short, then we have to negotiate above and beyond. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, okay. So is there less supply? Is that what's going on?
Yes, we don't have enough. We don't have enough homes to sell.
Okay,
here.
So why is that?
Right, it's been happening over the last couple of years. We have 70% of our inventory of properties for sale are condominiums.
Oh, I see.
Right. So it started to go on, we started to move out, into the downtown areas. And what happens now, because of what happened, people are coming back into the suburbs.
Yeah. So is there still demand for the condominiums as well that you have?
It depends on the price point. Depends on the price point. Right? And just to let you know, just a stat that I heard the other day was that, if you have a condominium selling 5 million and above, there's a 15-year, right? There's a 15-year supply.
Oh, wow. Okay. So the expensive ones are not going to sell, right?
Yeah, expensive ones aren't selling as quickly.
Yeah. What sort of, so you say the prices are kind of going up compared to when the pandemic started. What sort of increase have you observed so far?
Yeah, so the last one, the latest one in South Florida here, we have a 6 to 7% increase.
Okay, that's quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And do you expect this to continue?
Yes, this is what I was always, I was always this person where, I saw this happening, even though I have a lot of people coming in and saying, I'm just going to wait until the bust again happens. But what I do know here is that this is not a real estate recession. It's a health recession, correct?
Right.
And
yes.
We learned a lot, even though we didn't take everything that we learned. We learned a lot, and there was a lot of the market's strong coming back out of that recession. We used to get loans without even qualifying for loans, being able to qualify. But
oh yes, I remember that.
Yes. So I expect the prices to continue. Part of the reason why is because, okay, so now we're baby boomers, correct? So the millennials are coming in, and the average age of a millennial is now 32, right? So, and the average age of a home buyer is 31. So right now, so what's happening here? We have the largest population coming into the market, right? The millennials that lived at home and are saving and stuff like that, they're actually coming out.
Right, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I'm also guessing that even though some people are saying, okay, I'm going to wait until everything has crashed and everything, there's still people that have a need to move and to buy properties right now.
Yes. Right? What did the pandemic cause? So the negative side of it, people say, well, people are losing their jobs, correct?
Yeah.
A lot of people are not working. But remember now, we're getting the stimulus package is coming in. You know, I don't think we're on the front end, we're not losing a beat, right? So what happens is that the banks, the lenders, you know, there's forbearance.
Yes.
You know, forbearance is really complicated. It just depends on the bank, the lender, depends on the type of forbearance. It's some, you know, forbearance where they'll allow you not to pay your mortgage for say 6 months, but at the end of 6 months, everything is due.
Yes, you have to pay everything in one go.
Right. They have the ones that they'll allow you to pay half, and after 6 months, then you have a year to pay it back. And they have the forbearance where they'll forgive you, and they'll whatever you don't pay, it's tacked onto the back of the loan.
Ah, I see.
So you have to, you know, when we're in that, you have to really be careful of which one. So you know, a great thought here, Veronique. Foreclosures will always happen.
Yes.
Right, because of life. I don't think they're going to happen to the extent it was before.
All right. Yeah, that's actually something we've been saying as well as this is what you mentioned in passing about timing the market, because it's very difficult to time it. It's more about finding the right opportunity at the right time.
Right. Yeah. Just like the stock market, there's very few have timed the bottom of the market, the top of the market correctly.
Yeah.
Like when it's very few, like one or two, the one or two that timed it, they didn't. They just got lucky, right?
Yes, as I was going to say, as an ex-fund manager, I can tell you that some of it is skill, but it's about this much compared to being lucky.
Right.
So,
it's always real estate. It's always overtime.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I hear about renters and a challenge that some people have because there's been forbearance on rentals as well. And then the people that have the mortgages that are counting on those rentals to pay for the mortgages find themselves unable to pay for the mortgages.
Right. So it's a domino effect. And they extended that another month, right?
Did they?
They protected the renters again. So if you're not allowed to pay, you know, and again, it's a case by case, because I have tenants that they're paying.
Yeah.
Understand the forbearance, the negative to the forbearance. You know, I have a commercial tenant that I'm like a lender. I'm taking half, right, with the promise of payments on 18 months. So it just depends on the tenant. I have a great tenant, and I understand what the business atmosphere is like right now. So if I can help, you know, I try to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a question that just came in, and this person says, people lost job. How can they get loans to buy a house?
Right. So in America, you have to have a job to get a loan. You have to be able to, you know, prove that you have a job. So, you know, an example of what I look at. So in America, there's around 28 million people unemployed here, right? But that only represents 20% of the population.
Okay.
There's still 170 plus million people with jobs.
That's a really good point, actually. That's because we tend to not see the forest for the trees, right? Everybody looks at how the unemployment numbers and everything, right? And as you said as well, there's less supply, so in the whole, it probably balances itself.
Right. So not everybody can afford homes in America. And in America, we work on a credit system. So I have a lot of people that come, wanting to buy a house, and you have a credit score. I'm not sure over there, but the credit score is up to 800, over 800, 850.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have credit below 620, you're not able to buy a home.
Oh, I see. Unless you pay cash.
Yes, unless you pay cash.
Yes. Yeah.
So you have to have the credit and you have to have the income in order to buy.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. But that also means that creates more renters.
Correct.
Right? Because they might.
We're in Florida, right? So California always leads.
Yes.
So whatever you see in California, whatever's happening in California, you'll see it in Florida, next 5 to 6 months, and it's the same thing happening here.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll go to San Francisco, by the way, buy a 700 square feet property for $1 million, and you'll come here, and for that you'll get 2,000, over 2,000 square feet. Just depends, and it's always location when it comes to real estate.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course. And in terms of do you see people that are coming in to buy for investment purposes as opposed to just for living?
Yes.
At the moment?
We have investors. So, real estate is over, like I said, investors long-term, and if we have investors that flip and we have investors that buy for the long-term.
Yeah.
Right? It's a safe haven. Real estate is a safe haven over the long-term. Right?
Yeah.
And I always say to the younger generation, every one of these multimillionaires that you see, they made it from investing in real estate.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, a lot of them for sure.
Correct.
I think that was Andrew Carnegie that say that as well, right?
Yep.
So yeah, there's that's for sure. I know you are the president-elect of one of the largest associations. In fact, I believe the largest one in the US, right? What do you hear from your colleagues?
We're all upbeat on the market, right? So we have people coming in, and I'm speaking for Florida on its own because we have people running away from New York, running from Texas, people running from Washington. That's the last. The last I heard, those are the 3 states that the people are coming to Florida, wanting to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, where can you get palm trees, the beaches, right? The gateway, we're the gateway to Latin America.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so, and the weather is very pleasant.
Weather here,
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, living here for over 40 years, we get the talk about the hurricanes. But remember, we don't get snowed in, right?
Now that you mention it, I definitely would take the hurricanes in a hurry.
Right.
Yeah. So there's definitely demand. Do you see? I think one of the ideas that people have about Florida is Florida being a retirement place. But do you also see young children, and families with young children coming?
Yeah, far from it. I'm gonna. In this area, they have a retirement community. They call it a housing for older persons. 20 years ago, you had to be 55 to buy in there, and you had to be 55 or older to live in there. When you go through, if I took you through it today, you have to be 55 to buy in there, but you can live in there if you're 18 or older.
Oh.
So
I see.
Yeah, before it was a real retirement community. But today, no. You just have to be 55 of age and older to buy into the community, but you can be 18. They just don't allow kids. So, the world is changing. right?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And in terms of, I know at the moment is busy time because people move in before the school starts, and of course, school might be a little bit of a challenge. But do you see more and more demand coming your way at the moment?
Yeah, I tell you what runs this market at the end of the year. Again, we have something here called the homestead tax, where you get a tax break if you buy at the end of the year, and you can apply for the next.
Oh, I see.
So towards the end of the year, everybody tries to beat that December 31st deadline.
Yeah.
They can claim that homestead tax exemption for the following year.
Oh, I see. For the whole year, that makes sense.
Sure.
I was actually going to ask you how you saw the market going for the next year or two. So that's probably part of the answer as well.
Yeah, I expect to be strong. We have a lot of pent-up demand.
Yes.
Right? And this is like a few years back. We have a lot of pent-up demand. We have people sitting on the fence that are ready and waiting, and they just can't find properties to buy.
Ah, right.
Right?
Okay. Yes.
Or they get outbid on properties. Not they can't find, they get outbid by other buyers.
Yeah, I've seen that. So in general, how many people bid for the same properties?
I just had one the other day. Someone in my team bid, and there were eight offers on that same property.
Wow, 8.
Right.
That must have been a really nice place.
Right. So real estate is pretty simple, right? It's location. So if your home doesn't sell, it's price or condition.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So if it's priced correctly, and we don't determine the price of properties, the market does. On the market at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, cool. So Fahan actually dropped a question in the box here and asked, what sort of properties would you advise or suggest people buy for investment purposes?
Say single family homes. The average price of a home right now in this general area, again, it's always location, location, location.
Right.
I can take you 30 miles away from here, and something that you'll get for 300,000 here, for 300,000 there, you'll get a mansion, right? So again, it's location, location, location. So single family homes, I think is the best bet. And the average price point. The average price point here is 350,000.
Right. You're close to Miami, right?
Right, correct. And it rents for somewhere between 2,700 and 3,000 a month.
Wow, that's a nice return.
Right. So it's pretty good it's always a great deal when you find the right property, right?
Yes, of course. Always, isn't it? Yeah. And in your area, which is probably a little bit more upmarket than some of the others that we've been looking at, because we have a fair amount of properties, for instance, in Jacksonville. In your area, you say, so the average price is 300 to 350.
350.
Right?
350.
Yeah, 350. Do you think it is the same thing in the cheaper areas, so less location?
Yeah. So
after in Florida,
Orlando, anywhere north of just Orlando is booming.
Yes. Yes.
Correct. So a home, I'm going to a home that you buy for 350 here, you go to Orlando and buy it for 250.
Okay. All right. We've been looking at Orlando actually.
Yeah, same size home. So when you further north you go, the less expensive it gets.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. And do you expect next year to be similar? Because I've heard a number of people saying, oh my God, we're going to have a crash in 2021 and everything. And I'm like, how is it going to be different from now where everybody's stuck inside their homes?
Yeah, I tell you, the biggest difference is that, and I've been in this business for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. So the biggest difference is now you actually have to qualify for the loan. So
yes.
Right. They're not giving away. They don't have these catch-22 loans. Right. Where I can buy 10 properties and I can't afford it because I'm going to rent it out. They're charging, they're counting the rent and stuff like that. So I expect this to go on for the next year, next 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that at the moment we're kind of on the right side of things in general.
Yeah, I'm not going to predict double-digit appreciation because we just can't handle that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Get into trouble.
Yeah.
But I see
That
that.
probably would be too much as well, considering the properties.
Yes, and we had double-digit appreciation up to a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, and appreciation, it calmed down. So the average appreciation of housing appreciation, 4 to 5%. So
Right.
we're running around 6 to 7% right now because of the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if the pandemic hadn't happened, what did you expect the market, like if we were talking in January 2020, what were your expectations?
I saw a healthy market. We were moving right along. The only skip of the heartbeat that we got was that 1 month where nobody knew
What to do.
when it first started. Yeah. Right after that, it picked back up. It picked back up, I mean, with everything else in place. We don't have, we're pivoting, right? So
Mm-hmm.
before we used to have open houses, with lots of people coming through. We don't have that anymore. Everything else, we do virtual open houses. We go in there, we walk through, and we do it on Facebook.
You use Facebook to do it? That's interesting.
Yes.
So thrust into the world of technology, eh?
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I did have one question that just ran away from my head. What do you see? Do you have a picture globally of where things are going?
Yeah. So every year after year, we have somewhere between 5.3, 5.4 million existing home sales every year. No matter what, the negativity, it always ends up somewhere around there. So because of the pandemic, it is predicted that we're going to have a 10% drop. But when you take the big picture, a 10% drop, we're still going to have 4.6 million existing home sales.
Wow.
In the US.
Right. Okay.
Right. So it's it's just a little dented, but I think we'll pick back up. And again, if I could say, life changes for everyone, right? So homes, and your family gets bigger, you downsize, you lose a job, you have to sell, and down, you get, and I just said lose your job, but what about the people that are actually taking advantage or the pandemic has really, so they want to move up into bigger homes.
Mm-hmm.
So real estate is and it's nothing to do with this, but cars break down, right? So cars will always sell.
Yeah.
You have a lifespan, and then you have to change out.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with real estate. Things change. Families get larger.
Mm-hmm.
Life happens.
Absolutely.
Right. Life happens.
Yes, absolutely. So there's still demand. That's the thing, right? It's like we from abroad, sometimes we have this idea that it's ruins and everywhere.
And remember here, I think, let me just expand on it. Remember, we're in Florida, so it's a judicial state. So foreclosures, if it's going to happen, it takes longer. It's going to be whatever is happening now. It's going to take a year or 2 years, 3 years to go through the court systems in order for it to come back on the market.
Right. Okay. But not for taxes, though. So for property tax, it's faster than Clark, California.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So I just think we have a healthy market, and it's going to go on for a while. This has been happening for the last 4 to 5 years, where our inventory has been short.
So you already started with a shorter inventory.
It's gotten even tighter right now.
Yeah, because I've heard some things about people actually taking their houses off the market, thinking they didn't want to be on the market in case their house stayed there too long. It's like an old fish; it starts smelling, right?
Right. Exactly. Because days on the market, it's been on there too long, then somebody's gonna come to you in desperation. So that was but we're past all of that. We're healthy. We're going strong. If you're a real estate agent on the buyer side, it's a little bit more. You're working 3 times as hard. So but it'll all, I think in the end, it'll all work out. We have a lot of buyers, so the ones that were on the fence, we still have those on the fence that are predicting a crash, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. And as we said before, the timing the market is always a tricky one anyway.
Yes, that timing of the market it's a hallucination.
Yes, it can be. Yes, sometimes you get lucky, but most of the time it is a hallucination. Right. And it's also thinking that you know better than everybody else, and that's always tricky when you're on the market for investment purposes.
Correct.
So if you were to recommend, or recommend might not be the right word, but give me your honest opinion as to what a foreign investor could do in Florida. What would you say to them? If I come to you and I say, I have $100,000 or $200,000 that I want to invest in the Floridian market, what would you say?
I would welcome them. We are the Sunshine State.
Yes, that's true.
Our temperatures are in the 70s, in the winter. Very, 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 very few times it drops below 60. This is the reason I'm here.
Yeah, great weather makes a difference. But if I say, okay, well, I'm not sure whether I'm going to buy in a condo on the beach in Miami, or, well, not with 200, but you know what I mean, right? Or should I look for a house? Should I look for a house to rent out and then do something else? What would you say to this person?
I am saying, just depending on your outcome, right?
Yes.
And your future, whether it's 5-10 years. I'm going to tell you, single family homes are a safe bet.
Yes. Okay.
Right. Single family homes are a safe bet. I see a lot of people now, because of the pandemic, and I still haven't sorted through that. I've seen the stats where people are chasing, they're leaving the condominiums because of what just happened.
Yes, stacked housing, right? The idea of being with someone in the elevator and all that thing.
Yes, and the condominium, they prohibited any visitor from going in. They just changed that law, but they stopped everybody from going in.
Wow.
So there you couldn't have visitors, and it's that enclosed area that people are. I see people are running away from that right now.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. And single family home, if you're going to be working more from home, it's nice to have a bit of vista, and maybe I just pointed out to my window, but it's night, so I don't really have a view. But it's nice to have a bit more space to spread as well, right? And not necessarily hearing the neighbor's kids running around on top of you as well.
Yes, and if I feel like that, I'll walk out my back door and I'll go to my pool. I don't have to go 14 floors down.
Well, aren't public pools closed anyway?
No.
They're open? Okay.
They're open. Yes.
Yeah. There's different state, different rules, right? Yeah. So. Okay. Is there anything else that you need to tell us that we haven't covered?
First, I really appreciate the opportunity. Real estate.
Well, thank you for taking the time. That's really nice.
Real estate is the key to wealth. Invest in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And someone once told me when I first started, he said, "Do you want to live a great life?" Yes, I'd like to live a great life. Okay, buy one house a year for the next 10 years. And sell a house a year for the following 10 years.
Oh, that's an interesting trick.
Right. The next thing is, I invested in my daughter's college education month after month. But when she was first born, if I bought a property and sold it when she was 20, her college education would have been paid for.
Wow. Oh, that's a really, really good point. That's actually a point that Rauf makes sometimes, because his daughter has already booked him. She wants to go and study theater in New York. Yeah. And same thing, he says he has those investments because that's going to pay for his daughter's education.
Right. And I've been through that. When I was younger, I tell you, I bought a condominium. I just said, let me just invest. It cost me somewhere like $9,000 to get into that condominium. Back in those days, it was $100,000 for that condominium. I just sold that condominium for $250,000, right?
Nice.
So, yeah, $250,000 over 20 years. So if you look at it, and how much did I invest to make that quarter? I invested $10,000. I didn't buy it for 100,000. I bought it for 100,000, but I didn't buy cash for 100,000. I used leveraged it, and I had a tenant in the property for most of the time. So
it was a rental anyway. Yes, that makes sense.
Somebody else paid for that for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I completely get what you're saying, and yes, investing in property is a great way to build for the future.
And it's safe.
Yes, even in those uncertain times, as they call them.
Correct.
Yeah, because this is the thing as well. People are like, "Oh my God, but what if the prices go down?" And the answer is, to me, is always first, what if the prices go up? And secondly, it will go back.
Correct.
Right, even if it goes down for a month or two, a year or two.
And here's another story. Back in the downturn in 2010, I had Canadian customers that came in and bought townhomes, 3-bathroom, 1-car garage townhomes for $49,000. Those townhomes are selling for $250,000 now, right? So over time, and they didn't they just came here and said, I wanted to invest, right? Yeah. Not thinking of the negative side. They just want to invest. So who would know that 10 years later, it's not 49,000, it's 250,000.
Very nice.
Yeah. So again, real estate. I believe in real estate. This is what I do for a living. I believe.
But you believe in it as well. It's not just how you make a living. You made a life out of it. So. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time on a Monday morning after your team meeting to come and give us all this information. And I do hope that we can bring you back in a couple of months so we know what's going on some more, because things do change and we get new people listening too as well.
I'd be glad to. And thank you again for the opportunity. Guys, I'm going to welcome you to Florida.
With pleasure. As soon as is humanly possible, I'm on a flight to come see you, right? All right. Thank you very much, Patrick. Take care.
Thank you.